In this episode, we begin the 2037-38 season, as ridiculous as that seems. The main thing to note is that the 2042-43 season represents our 25th and final season, which means, as the last episode showed, we don't have time to mess around, and anybody who is underperforming has to go. We are running out of time fairly quickly. There are only a few seasons left, even if this series, of course, much like the others, has gone on a little bit longer than we intended. Again, me getting sick to start the year, or, towards the middle of January, wasn't great. But regardless, let's get this show on the road. We have a lot to get to today. And we are going to start off by talking about the goaltending situation, as I put quite a bit of thought into what I wanted to do here, as Torsten Åkerlund has not exactly been the goalie that we've needed him to be consistently, and we talked about that. Good season, bad season. Good season, bad season. Here's the plan. He gets 1 year to fix this. We're going to sign both he and Connor Walchuk to 1-year deals. If Torsten Åkerlund drops the ball, he is gone. Connor Walchuk is the goalie moving forward. So that is the game plan. We have $93 million in cap space, so call it a hunch. I don't think we're going to be worrying all that much about signing some players to some bigger deals. But again, for now, it's a 1-year deal for Connor Walchuk, just in case we decide to let go of him as a restricted free agent. There is a possibility of that. Not entirely sure yet. Speaking of that, though, that brings us to Jared Van Allen, who's now 25 years old. He's not going to get that much better. Proved last year to be a great goaltender in the AHL, but at the NHL level, he never quite clicked. And unfortunately for him, I don't think he's going to get another opportunity here. I mean, we can keep him, and probably will, but odds are he's going to be on the way out sooner rather than later. At the very least, though, you can tell with the goaltending situation, unless Harrison or Lapalainen end up with crazy developments, it's worth keeping these two on as AHL goaltenders. But with Van Allen, it's not going to happen because he's an RFA, and we're going to qualify him and hope to get something back, even if it's a second-round pick. Mateo Fox, on the other hand, will be staying. We'll see if he'll sign for that. So it'll be he and Fane in the AHL this season. We'll sign a fifth goaltender if we have to. Hopefully we won't. Defensively, it's a battle between McCultling and Kolosov for who will be the fifth and sixth defenseman this season. At the moment, at the very least, it's worth signing all three of them rather than worrying about extra draft picks. We could let go of Patling and Kolosov with them being medium fours and hope that Conacher takes that big next step forward. But I don't think with either of them we'd get that much back, if anything, in terms of compensation. Depends on how much they'd be asking for, especially on the open market. So with one Landon McCults, I mean, he wants 6 years, and I think I'm willing to do it. Now, let's take a look here. We'll actually open up the infamous Yield calculator app, and we'll see here. I'm going to try to go 8 years just to get him locked up for the rest of this series. Get it over and done with. That would drop it down to 5.8. So we'll try 6 flat for 8 years with McCult. Hopefully that doesn't stunt the development. That's been a topic of discussion recently. With Pat Ling, I mean, you start to get a little bit of diminishing returns towards that 8-year mark, but if this is cheap enough, it's worth doing. It'd be 6.5. That's probably a bit much. He wants 3 years. And you know what? I think I'm actually going to give him the 3 years. We'll play it safe. We will still try to save a little bit of money, of course, whenever we can. Again, the cap situation can change drastically at a moment's notice, so we've seen that before, of course. And if I mess up, it can get that much worse. As Kolosov, now I'm very worried about potentially stunting his development, so I'm not going to risk it. I'm just going to sign him to what he is looking for, essentially. Try to get a slight discount on that. Could go 8 years. Again, kind of worried that maybe he won't develop. Nicholson needs to be signed. A two-way deal for him. That's actually the max on a two-way deal at this point. And that's the basically the equivalent of, what is it right now, $9.25? $9.25. Eminger. I don't remember your nationality. You're Canadian. You will not be signed, nor will anybody else there. Forward-wise, it gets to be a tad bit more complicated. Now, Angelo Bachmann is obviously the main man on this team, as we were hoping he would be. He has developed at a ridiculous rate. We're going to go 10.8 over 8 years. Ivanov will more than likely be back. It's tough because obviously he's not a true number one center in terms of development. He's shown some good glimpses of it, but at the very least he's worth keeping, as we are still desperate to be competitive. And as you can see, that 93 million is going to diminish quickly. So let's go 10.5 over 8 years. Obviously, if worse comes to worse, we just ditch that contract. Vienno as an RFA. This is an interesting one. 54 points, 33 goals. We have no choice but to bring him back. And hopefully, unlike with Nylander, unlike with Steven Moroz, he doesn't start to struggle out of nowhere. It would be nice to actually sign someone to a deal like this, have it be straightforward, and they actually continually deliver. Wouldn't that be great? We'll go 9.75 over 8 years to lock him up long term. And speaking of Steven Moroz, he will be given another opportunity to rebound. Hopefully he does. Pressure's on, buddy, because you were looked at as one of the key players on this team. There's no doubt about it. And last season, granted, he still almost hit 30 goals, but we need to expect more. And that's kind of what happened with Kim Nylander, where it's like, wow, 70 some odd points. I think it was like 76 points or something like that. And then nothing. He just fell off a cliff. Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. I think what we're going to do for pretty much the entire team here is sign everybody and then only ditch players if we have to. So Kato needs a deal. I mean, he's a 62 overall, 22 years old. We're obviously going to ditch him. He was a former 6th round pick, so that's not a major loss. Frazee, 63 overall at 20 years old. We will obviously be signing him, see if we get some of that late, low elite developments. Antila, I'm not really worried about. Lindstrom, it's doubtful that he develops. I'm still going to sign him for the moment, but doubtful that he ever makes it. Who else do we have here? Lowry. I don't remember where you're from. You are from Canada, so you will not factor into our plans currently. Gautier's a 72 at 22 years old. Low 6, we're not going to sign him. Former 4th round pick. Jerome Gauthier on the way out. Jacobs will be brought back. Give him a chance to maybe get a little bit better. Parks as well. Can bring him back. Not expecting much out of him, though. And then there's Khalil Cogliano, who, oh boy, he is American. I don't remember, though, if he was in junior. Hopefully not, as we're going to look to sign him and play him in the AHL this year. Inglis will be signed as well, one of our better prospects at this point. Tarasov, who's 20 years old, will be signed as well. So the AHL still going to be looking pretty damn good. We have quite a few prospects that if they don't make it to the NHL directly this year, depending on how their off-season development goes, they're going to be very close. And then, of course, there's just everybody else. So let's give it a day, see what happens, and take it from there. We'll react to whatever the responses are. So Ivanov rejects, Moroz is back, Kolosov, Cogliano, Nicholson, Ackerlund rejects, Konowalchuk is signed, Lindstrom, Jacobs, Ling, Sarainen, Tarasov, McCult also rejects, Frazee, English, Mateo Fox rejected, as did Vienno. But the vast majority of players that we sent offers to are back. We're down to 67 mil. Let's see what we can do here. Torsten, it's got to be a 1-year deal, buddy. It's got to be. And we'll go up to 11.5 here to make that happen. Hopefully that's enough. From there, again, Mateo Fox also needs that new deal. Let's go up to 1.8. That should be enough to bring him back. And then again, the hope is with Van Allen we get some sort of compensation. McCult, again, you need to come back. We're going to try to go 8 years. I don't remember the math on this one as far as the 85% trick. 625 actually might do the trick just to bring him back. I think we lowered that by a bit too much. And aside from that, the defense is sorted. So Ivanov, it's going to be pretty expensive. We'll start at 11 mil over the next 8 years. Vienno, what is the lowest offer we can do for him as well? We've tried so many contracts under the 85% that I am having a hard time remembering. He wanted to re-sign, right? He does. So, I mean, 10 mil, 10 by 8 should work. I don't know if that's exactly what I just offered him before, but that should work. And then aside from that, we get into the absolute cluster. Now, the good thing is, I think we have all of our prospects signed. You'll see that we're at 47 contracts now, so we don't have anything to worry about, in terms of not having space to bring everybody back. We're good to go on that front, and then from here, it's just getting rid of people, those who clearly aren't going to make it, doing the whole 7th round pick swap just to get rid of people. So the goal is to bring back everybody. We'll look at what the team is shaping up or how the team is shaping up, and we'll take it from there. So Boro as well, someone who I think is more than likely on the way out. I'm going to try to sign him. Let's go 725 over 8 years. Melnick is an interesting one as an RFA. How did he do last year? I don't remember. 45 points in 82 games. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. The passing's solid. The offensive awareness leaves a little bit to be desired. The shooting accuracy is very nice. I'll come back to him because I don't know if I would prefer to try and get a little bit more compensation. Let's try to lock up Ben McCauley long term. Thomas Nylander as well, someone who has had 9 lives in this organization. I'm going to try to bring him back for 1 season. I don't think he's a long-term replacement or a long-term fixture on the team, and if anything, he's going to be on the way out. For the majority of these guys here now, it's just trying like hell to get them signed, make this as simple as possible. Garnett, there won't be enough compensation. He's not a high enough overall to make that happen, but we can try to sign him to a hefty contract now just to get it out of the way. I think that's still going to be the preferred method here for a lot of these younger players. There's just so much to handle here. McCammond, let's go 3 by 2. Hopefully that's enough. Hopefully that's enough. Is that everybody? Jesus, it's not. Henry Yang, another very disappointing player for us who looked like he was going to be great, was destroying worlds on the 4th line and the 3rd line, and then fell apart and just didn't really contribute all that much. Kind of the story of this organization, isn't it? The story of this franchise mode, where it's like, hey, here's some promise, look at this talent, and it's gone. Oh boy, that's the most overplayed, that might be the most overplayed meme in the history of the internet. Perhaps. Is that too big of a jump? It might be. I'm just going to spam the button, and I'm seeing a lot more rejecteds than I was hoping for, but that's fine, I guess. Right. Oh my god, Åkerlund, are you kidding me? Like, you really have, and Mateo Fox as well. How much money do we have? 44. All right. Torsten Åkerlund is being a major pain in the ass here, and that's something that I was worried about, to be honest. Again, the cap isn't that bad, but having to deal with players like this who want out, it really does complicate things. Mateo Fox, 2 mil. See if that's good enough defensively. We're good to go, so that's nice. And then forward-wise, Vienno, you are being a pain in the ass. Let's try 10.5 by 8. Boro, let's go for 7.5. I'm not sure if that's what I offered him before, but we'll try that. Melnick, if I can manage to not hit the wrong button. Melnick, let's go for... Let's go 1 year at 5.5. That should be enough to lock him up, at least for the season. Oh my God, imagine Thomas Nylander having the nerve to reject any contract offer, as he has pretty much proven time and time again. He's not an NHLer yet. I'm keeping him here just out of necessity. Heads are going to roll in this episode, though. It's just a matter of getting everybody signed and moving on from there. And at the very least, if we don't get somebody signed, well, you can see that we struggled, because that's great. I know a lot of people don't like this long-form stuff, and some people are like, man, just make a jump cut until everybody's signed. Earlier on, I don't remember what series it was, but I think that's part of the reason as to why I do... Boro, you are kidding me. I think that's part of the reason as to why I do long-form now, because that happened, and by that, I mean this. I skipped ahead, and I was like, oh, this player didn't want to sign. And then someone's like, oh, bullshit, you just didn't want to bring him back. And it's like, all right, I'll show you from now on. I'll show you every little thing. And we do. And we do. And that way, too, if I have to suffer through this, then so do you, damn it. Brian Boro is guilty of extortion right now, as is McCammond, for that matter. The fact I'm going up to $4 million. Good Lord. We only have $13 million left, too. I'm going to keep saying the word bucks. We should be fine, though. So the last two players to sign, and then again, hopefully Van Allen ends up leaving. Burrow signs, McCammon signs, and we're finally good. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. Hallelujah. Yeah, we're good. Sweet. Figured a double check. So Van Allen will be going to free agency. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I just need to double check as far as the staff is concerned. Fingers crossed that, he ends up getting an offer and that we can get just a tad bit of compensation for him. As it is, there are certain players that I probably should have taken the compensation for now. But, again, trying to do what we think is best for the team, being ruthless in some aspects, not so ruthless in others. Oh, the menu lag. Oh, the menu lag. The huge manatee of the menu lag. It is my favorite thing. I complain about it in every episode because it's my favorite. So let's take a look here. We need to get the scouting department sorted. Just need to send out 3 offers to whoever the highest rated scouts will do, and we'll take it from there. It is going to be Parker Lyon. Parker Lyon. Swanson here. What's your first name, Swanson? Lee Swanson. Lee Swanson, and we had, 1 A-? 2 A-? Who do we got? Shannon Friesen and Catherine McMillan. Let's go for Catherine. She's a year younger, a little bit more spry, and hopefully that means she won't retire as soon as Miss Friesen will be. So that should be good. Fingers crossed. Here we get a report about us losing a certain Van Allen via offer sheet. That is the goal, as we get all 3 scouts. Beautiful. The big moment of truth coming up here isn't so much, whether or not Van Allen comes back. It's more so what kind of development, what kind of progression do we see from our young players. It's a big, big time for us here, and it could very well dictate how things shape up for us. There we go. I'll take it. 3rd round pick from the Habs could work out for us. Van Allen will be on the way out, a former 3rd round pick in 2032. It's just not going to happen. So we will take that 3rd round pick from Montreal, and that's honestly more than I expected to get, because I never expected a team to actually offer sheet him. So that's a nice, pleasant surprise, and suddenly things are on the up and up. Again, though, the focus now, whether or not we get good prospect development. This is going to be very interesting, because there are a lot of potential trade outs that could happen. You look at guys like McCammond, perfect example, as I stumbled and stammered through that, but that's fine. Perfect example, as is someone, of course, like Nylander. We already got rid of one Nylander. I'm not against getting rid of the other. We're going to do what we have to do, as we are set and good to go. Now, the first thing I want to check is that we haven't had any crazy development from any of our unsigned guys. I highly doubt it, and indeed we haven't, so that's fine. Although, Eminger there was 20. Eminger was 20. Smith is 21. Yikes. And Antia is Finnish. We have some players that we could sign who would probably benefit quite handily from playing in the AHL this next season. I'm going to go straight to the trade player screen, and we're going to see what we're dealing with. So goaltending-wise, again, it's Åkerlund and Konowalchuk. Oh, man. Konowalchuk makes it to an 87. Do we potentially stunt Konowalchuk's growth for the sake of having him be the backup goalie this year? Or do we just give him the reins and let him go for it? That's a really tough question. Harrison, by the way, up to a 67, which is nice. So if it doesn't work out with Åkerlund or Konowalchuk, Harrison's probably the best hope. That's a really rough situation to be in, and I think what I'm going to do is stick to my guns, keep both goaltenders, maybe turn off auto-rotate and have Konowalchuk be the guy. Not entirely sure. I think we'll leave that as is for now. Defensively, you have Nichushkin at an 88, McPherson at an 87, Shattenkirk, Francois, McCult, and Ling are, and actually, in fairness, yeah, that's our top six. Kolosov at an 81, Conacher up to a 79, and their top six defensemen. Somebody's got to go. Vorobiev as well was a top six defenseman, but there's no way that we're playing him. I mean, for sure, he's going to be either in the AHL or on the way out. It depends on the AHL defensive depth. So all of these players here, 2 more defensemen have to go. And I don't know which 2 to get rid of. That's a tough call. I mean, Nichushkin and McPherson just can't go anywhere. There's no way. There is no way. I mean, only 14 points last year for Nichushkin. He's more defensively oriented, although has developed to the point where he'd be a good two-way defenseman. McPherson, still kind of more of a defensive D-man. Definitely a shutdown guy. Then there's Henry Shattenkirk, a 7th-round steal. Also, again, more of a shutdown guy. 8 points last year, which is fine. Rene Francois, who had a little bit of a disappointing year last year, dropping off by 20 points. If it's not one of those 4, it's McCult or Ling. Although you could argue Ling is just an improved version of Kolosov, but I'd like to think maybe Kolosov could go up by more than 2 points in 2 years. And is Landon McCult done developing? 49 points last year. We can't possibly drop him. I think Pat Ling's on the way out. But again, Conacher has to play in the AHL or the NHL. I don't want to stunt his development. That's a really tough choice. It might be Ling and Kolosov. As crazy as that is, 2-way defensive D, 2-way offensive as well. He's listed as a 2-way, which is fine. Oh boy, I was expecting tough decisions. I think it has to be Ling and Kolosov that go out. I feel like Ling is a better version than Kolosov, but Kolosov could end up being better by the time he goes up by 2 years. But Landon McCult absolutely killed it last year. This is going to be a major decision. This is probably a major turning point for this series. I'm all right with having high point producing defensemen, but I only want 1 or 2. And that could be Francois and McCult. The rest might be able to chip in a little bit here, but I want as much focus to be on the offense as possible. Pat Ling, 2nd round steal that he was, had 36 points in the AHL last year, 5 points in 50 games in the NHL. has a cannon of a shot. Very physical. Bit more defensively oriented, though. I think he has to go. If it's between he and Kolosov is... I'm surprised Kolosov's only 2 overall points weaker. Kolosov's a former first-round pick, too. Wow. Didn't think we'd be potentially getting rid of him, but we have to prioritize Conacher. The only other debate is to get rid of someone like Shattenkirk. And if we look here, the top 4 is Nichushkin, McPherson. You could make the argument that it should be Ling and Shattenkirk. To be honest, to have Francois and McCult also be in the top 4. Makes sense at least. With Nichushkin being a two-way or defensive D, McPherson being a defensive D, and then you have the offensive threats with Francois and McCult. Kind of leaves Shattenkirk on the way out. And then I think we get rid of Pat Ling as well. I know people love that noise. I think that's it. I think we keep Kolosov and Conacher. Third pair. First pair probably McCult and Nichushkin. Second pair McPherson, Francois. I like that. I think we're good. Now, as far as the AHL is concerned, it would be Vorobiev, Nicholson. I do want to sign Eminger. We have Fisher, who doesn't need that much attention. That only leaves us 4 defensemen, so as crazy as it is, we're actually not going to get rid of anybody. Shattenkirk and Ling are going to be down in the AHL this year, which is just stupid, but we can pull it off with the morale system off, so at least that's decided. Actually, we'll go fix that up right now, and we'll sign Eminger just to get that all set up, and then we'll figure out what the hell we're doing with the forwards, because Lord knows that's its own problem. So, Eminger, congratulations, welcome aboard. Lowry, were you signable? You weren't. And Smith is. That's right, it was Smith and Antilla, but I mean, they're both low 6, which is not a great potential. You're looking at like an 82 at best. So, I don't really want to prioritize them. So, defensively, again, Shattenkirk and Ling are going down. Kolosov and Conacher are on the way up. That is an AHL level defense for us right now. And if things don't work out, we at least still have the assurance policies there. So forward-wise is where this gets very, very interesting. Because we have a lot of players that deserve to have that NHL time. And if I base it solely off of player role, designated player role for the moment, we'd be looking at these 3 going up, and then there's 2 others in Tarasov and Marlowe that we'd have to look at afterwards. So let's see who we have here. We have Baines at 23, low elite, and in terms of what he brings to the table, a 2-way is accurate with that defensive awareness. I mean, he's 23, again, so there's a decent chance of him getting better. Wouldn't expect him to provide much offense, but we wouldn't exactly be expecting that from him. Being more of a shutdown forward would be nice. Sarainen at 20 is going nowhere. Kari Sarainen's going to be on this team. Then there's Jean-Francois, who is now 30 years old, and it's just a damn shame. 98 offensive awareness is wasted because of the lacking puck skills and shooting abilities. Last year, he tore the AHL apart. The year before that, he had 37 points in 82 games, but he was a top 6 guy for us and very much disappointed. Then there's Ryder McCammond, who has a great puck skills category. Everything else offensively is lacking, but he's decent defensively and has good physicality. So having him be a 2-way or even a grinder in the bottom 6 role could work. Thomas Nylander, again, for a bottom 6 role, if we were to have that be more defensive, physical oriented, could be worth keeping. And there's Vladimir Mayorov, the low elite at 21, who deserves a chance to get better in terms of his efficiency on the offensive side of things. So I think Mayorov is safe as well. Ben McCauley was our leading point getter last year. No, he wasn't. That was the year before. It's easy to forget. 99 offensive awareness, though. Still probably deserves an opportunity. But I can't say I'm overly sold. It's tough because obviously he's produced points. You know, he puts up points. But shooting, the puck skills just don't match with that offensive awareness. What about Melnick? Melnick deserves, he probably deserves a chance here. Good shooting category. He should be able to put up points for us. Hartnell, now 22 years old. That offensive awareness is just a little bit behind, but he does have a really good shot. And then, of course, Steven Morose has an amazing shot as well. Brian Boro, if we want that fourth line to be defense/physical, he's worth keeping. Viano is now a first liner, rightfully so. He should be an offensive dynamo for us this season with those top three categories. No question. What about Ralph Ricci? Again, the shot is very disappointing. The offensive awareness is nice. Elite third liner might be the way to view it. Perhaps even a second liner when you look at the defense and physicality of Ralph Ricci. And then there's Ivanov, of course, and Bachman. So the real question here is, what the hell do we do overall? If I want to run, I don't necessarily want to run the third line as more defensive, although Sarainen does fit that, but he has offensive promise as well. And then there's two other guys here that are supposed to be on the fourth line. Tarasov, who's 20, and if we want him to continue to develop, we will play him on the fourth line. And then there's Ross Marlowe, who's 24, and fits the bill as a more defensive, physical kind of player. And has an outside chance of getting just a tad bit better. This is unfortunate, but obviously some people have to go. I think because of Bain's potential at getting better, I think he stays. I think Sarainen stays. Francois probably going to get dropped again. Ryder McCammond, the defense and physical stats might save him. And again, Marlowe could be worth it. Is there another player where it's just undeniable that they're going down? And I don't think there is. Aside from Francois. So if we swap him with Tarasov, what are we looking at here? So that's 10, 11, 12. As it is, we still have to send people down. I think the issue again, though, is Tarasov we want playing, Baines we want playing, Sarainen needs to play, Mayorov stays. I think some of the veterans of the team are going to be the ones on the way out. It's just the way it's got to go. And when I look at guys like Brian Boro and even Ralph Ricci, I mean, they're worth keeping in the bottom six to try and be shutdown guys over someone like McCammond, who's 4.5 star, 4.5 star, compared to Nylander, who's 4.5, 5 star. I think McCammond's probably on the way out as well, or at the very least going to be down in the AHL. And Marlowe, I think, same thing. We can't really prioritize and say, oh, we might get better. It's just not good enough. He's going to immediately go back down. It's just not there for him. So that leaves how many at this point? It's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Two others need to be sent down. It's not going to be Tarasov. It's not going to be Baines or Sarainen. We're looking at Nylander, McCauley, Melnick, which again I think Melnick offensively deserves to stay. McCauley probably deserves to stay. Hartnell has a chance to get better. Morose deserves a chance to stay. We're looking at the likes of Boro and Nylander. And I think those are the two to be sent down. And I think we have our 12. a decent mix of players being given another opportunity and young talent yet again taking over. So it would be Åkerlund and Konowalchuk. Defensively, again, we would want to go for Nichushkin. I might give Francois the chance to start. McPherson, McCults, Conacher, and Kolosov. Kolosov has the better shot. We'll put him on that right-hand side. And then forward-wise, is there another designated fourth liner? Tarasov. You can play him there. Hartnell's a third liner. Mayorov's a third liner. And that is it in terms of guys that we have to worry about. So I still can't help but think Ricci being out of the top 6 might be for the best. Unless he's a two-way, but unless he's a playmaker, but he's just so good as a two-way. Whereas McCauley has that offensive awareness, he should probably be top 6. I think we have the roster. Can anybody else play center aside from Ivanov? No. So Ivanov is going to be on the second line. Bachman's going to be the top line center. And based off of who we have here, Viano is obviously going to be a top line guy. It's just, do we put him with Moroz? And we probably do. Melnick being on the second line might be for the best. Let me take a look, though, if that wants to work properly. Thank you. So again, the 99 offensive awareness for McCauley. Ridiculous playmaking ability. I mean, just very well-rounded from Melnick. And then Moroz has the ridiculous shooting. So Bachman will be a two-way. Could be a playmaker. Viano's already a sniper. Rightfully so. Could be a playmaker as well. So factoring that in, that third line, I think we have Melnick as a two-way, Moroz as a sniper, with McCauley and Ivanov. So it'd be a Viano, Bachman, and we'd want Viano on that other side. So Melnick, Bachman, Viano, I think is going to be that top line to start. Third line of Ricci, Mayorov, and Hartnell. Nothing but righties. Gotta love it. And Hartnell's a good enough sniper that I think that would work. Although, granted, he is a sniper. There's that again. It's better than me saying, nah. Not really. We can afford to have a somewhat weak center. Let's put Mayorov on that left-hand side. So Mayorov, Hartnell, Ricci. Fourth line of Sarinen, Tarasov, and Baines. Which, again, is looking pretty good. Sarinen can be a two-way or a playmaker. Tarasov, probably a two-way. And Baines, probably a two-way. So it works out in that way that the fourth line could be a little bit more grindy to not expect points from them and to try and bump up the top 6. It's a pretty well-rounded team, admittedly. And the defense still looks great. We have two more than capable, way more than capable goaltenders for what we're asking them to do. It's just a matter of whether or not they execute, right? It's been the deal for years now. Again, we know the defense is set outside of taking out Wade James in favor of, I believe, indeed, Fisher. Former 7th round pick. Not sure if we'll see much development out of him, but we will find out. And in terms of a better shot, that's Vorobiev. So Shattenkirk and Ling are going to be the top D pairing on North Bay until we see what we have with our current defense. And when it comes to the rest of the team here, we'll more than likely move some players out. I need to look at ages or just in general potentials to see who's going to be on the way out. So Francois, McCammond, Yang, Nylander, Boro, and Svoboda are those who are most likely to sit if we have prospects that we want to give time to, like Lindstrom, who's medium top 6. So could get rid of these guys if we wanted to. More than likely, I'll just let them stay as healthy scratches. But yeah, changes certainly have to be made here to allow these guys a chance to develop. And apparently all 3 of these guys are ours, which is shocking to me. Pierce Walsh getting to the lineup. Henry Yang. The mighty have fallen. Jacobs and Frazee are both ours. All three of them are ours? Really? Wow, we have way more prospects around than I thought we did. Way more. So the majority of these veterans are just going to be sitting here. That's it. I mean, we're basically holding them hostage. You can sit there, and if someone underperforms at the NHL level, maybe you get an opportunity, or I just deal you because who cares? That's pretty much what it's looking like. So I need to get both Stewart and Tamara. Actually, I don't need to get Stewart into the lineup. Tamara, I do, though. So there you go. That bottom six of all veterans, they are on the way out. And from here, or at the very least, they're going to keep sitting. And from here, we're just going to sort by overall over anything else rather than best potential. So who has the best face-offs? It's Novotny. Lindstrom has a better shot. That third line between Jacobs and Walsh. Jacobs is a little bit better defensively on the second line, and second line and first line, I should say. Better face-offs goes to Malachi Inglis. There we go. Your North Bay Doolin Narwhals for the season. So again, some major pieces as healthy scratches in the AHL. McCammon, Francois, Yang, Nylander, Boro, and Svoboda, all of whom we could drop, but probably won't, because who cares? And that way, too, we can avoid signing anybody to extend the cap. It just saves save ourselves a couple of spaces, a couple of moves. Now, I haven't fully fixed the scouting, obviously, but I do want to sim a little bit or not. Let's sim. Well, then there's optimizing player types, which might not even do anything anyway. Certainly a debatable point. How I wish we had the archetype system like we have in Madden, where it's like, hey, this player is a 93 power forward, a 90 sniper, and an 88 two-way. So you might say to yourself, probably want to run him as a sniper. That's better to this generic archetype, better suited for this generic archetype. Something like that would be phenomenal. That way you could say, I'm actually trying to think of a good player here, to be honest. Who's a great example of this? Like Ovechkin, right? Granted, he's not known for being, the type of player, but it's like Ovechkin, 99 sniper, 72 two-way. Probably going to want to play him as a sniper. Or Patrice Bergeron, he's a 95 two-way, but a 92 playmaker. It's like, maybe have him as the playmaker, and then that way I can run Pasternak as a sniper instead of a playmaker, and everything works out. I'm just saying it would be a nice system. That's all. So we're going to sim a month into this season. I'll set up the scouts in the next episode. Missing out on a month, they're having a couple of scouts doubled up, or even, we have 3 pro scouts. It's not a big deal. We're not going to miss out on that much time, and it's not as if God forbid I have one bad draft at this point after we've been pretty spot on. Granted, we've let go of a lot of draft picks, but that is to be expected, and being 3-0, or 0-3, I should say, not expected, and I'm honestly not very happy. Come on, fellas, turn this around. Okay. 0-4 with this squad. Really? Winless through 4. You want to make it 5? 5 weeks of groundation? I sound like an angry parent. Oh my God. Can we get a win? Can we get a win? How are we this bad? That's unbelievable. Hell, there we go. We finally get a win. If we keep the team this way, we'll be competing in the Tank Bowl, apparently. Go for that top 3 odds. We beat Calgary. We lose to Vancouver. We're playing the inverse of our record in the Philadelphia Flyers. I believe we lost that as well. Don't know for sure. We did. 1 win through our first 9 games. That is unbelievably poor for a team with champion status. What is the issue here? Torsten Åkerlund, you're done. You're done. You are done. I don't even know if I want to give you an opportunity to fight back this season, because you were supposed to fight back from the start. 5.1 GAA. Are you kidding me? I can't believe that. Defensively, the fact that Nichushkin doesn't have a worse plus-minus, Francois at least putting up some points, as is Landon McCult. Conacher and Kolosov have struggled together, but growing pains for them, that is what it is. Melnick has 5 points, 7 for Bachman, 6 for Vienno. The second line at least producing somewhat, which is nice. Third line's done okay. We just don't have any goaltending. I'll leave it up to you guys. I think heading into the next episode, I'm going to optimize a little bit. It can't hurt to set up players as I'd prefer to have them set up, especially to like left wing, right wing. That way when we go best lines, the power play is good to go, which it's not as if you'd expect that power play to struggle. It's kind of weird that Tarasov's in there, but 91 offensive awareness. He should be able to do something, even as a grinder. I'm not going to blame the power play for the struggles. It's up to you. Do we hold on to Torsten Åkerlund, or is he gone? Do we just get rid of him right now, not even wait, and just turn the reins over to Konowalchuk and take it from there and just look to usher in a new era? Hopefully Harrison will be ready within a few seasons. Maybe Lapalainen gets there. I think the Torsten Åkerlund project has come to an end. In the next episode, we finish up this season. Hopefully, we can turn things around and make a push for the playoffs, because missing 2 years in a row would be just a disaster.